Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Third and Longhorn. We're back with another week, and we've got a good crew with us this week, so I'll let Jeremy Hills take it away.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jeremy Hills, and Michigan is going to college jail. We'll talk about that.
That's the continuation of your first episode, Love Affair with Michigan, for those that didn't hear the episode.
Diamonte Tucker-Dorsey here, better known as Tuck, local realtor now, but yeah.
Alex Okafor played at Texas from 2009 to 2013, 9 years in the NFL and Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's exactly why he does. That's why he does his intro last.
I like it. Tuck was smart. Tuck was smart and kept it simple. He was just like, I'm Tuck. He didn't even say anything about football.
I'll for next time. All right.
I love it.
See the last episode, man.
Yeah, exactly. You got to tune in. All right, so to start it off, let's. I know we've all got a lot of stuff on our minds about last week. I know it took a few years off of all of our lives. I had to sit for about 15 minutes in my seat and just kind of decompress for a second after. But, we won. So give me y'all's thoughts on the game.
I mean, listen, we came out. We had a game plan. You seen it early. We executed it. We play hard. I don't question our effort at all. We tackle well. We arguably had the best interior defensive line in the country. Mm-hmm. They played up to par.
Yep.
We made the big plays. We had a lot of explosive plays. We didn't turn the ball over early. That first half, I would say.
First quarter.
That's fair. It was like first quarter and a half.
First quarter and a half. Man, it was glorious to see what we had a potential of being. Yeah. And then somehow we Dallas Cowboyed that thing up in the second half.
The second, in my head, I said, this is going to be the first game where we finally just take care of business, shut a team down. Yeah. And I was like, and for all the teams to do it against K-State, I was like, I'm so pumped about this. And the second that happened was when things just took a turn.
I'll say being in the locker room last year, I'm just glad we won because last year we would have lost that game. And so I'm just glad we won. You know what I'm saying? That's a step. That's a step for the program.
That's a big step.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a big step.
I guess my takeaways is, first and foremost, we got to show the D-line some love because the past two episodes we was talking about them, so now we got to show them some love. And then, kind of like what Jay Hill said, we started off amazing. Like, the way Maalik started that game off, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, there's going to be a decision to make whenever Quinn comes back. It didn't all go like that. So I think we got to start looking at Coach Sark scripting. Like, I think that's why we jumped out so quick. I think he's one of the best scripters in the game.
Agreed.
So we got to kind of look at that.
Well, I would like to go ahead and put like an asterisk because we never questioned the D-line.
That's true. That's
you
true.
questioned
What was the question? I was brought topics on this podcast and I had to answer them truthfully.
Because listen, I'm calling a spade. That D-line look good. Now, one thing I think you brought up a couple of episodes back, you brought up a really good point about us having that go-to game closer that's going to make that play up front. I think we're still probably looking for that from an edge perspective.
Yeah.
But when you look at how this game was closed, go look at overtime and you look at third and fourth down. How you think it was closed?
T-Sweat.
T-Sweat.
Yeah, T-Sweat. He's closing games for us.
He closed that game out. So,
man, he almost got that pick, too, at the end. I wanted that pick so badly.
I'm not going to lie to you. I was very happy. I don't know who it was exactly, but I was very happy to see one of his teammates jump and like forcefully bat that ball down. No, man. Listen, hey, brother. You in here trying to get stats. We trying to win this game.
For the
pick. Nah, he got to get that pick. You got to get
bat that ball down.
The game was over.
Listen. If he play his whole career, this level and the next, and he never get an interception, he will be okay.
No, he won't.
He will be
not if he could have had one.
He's going to be fine, but he had one.
You haven't met Devondre. He wanted that one. He wanted that one.
I can see it now, though. I can see it now. He tries to pick. It bounce off his shoulder pads. You can just see
right into the tight end's hands, like the Kansas State.
Yeah. So bat the ball down, big man.
It was the right play. Bender made the right play, but he wasn't one.
Okay, fair enough.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the thing that kept that game close was the turnovers, and and you can look at the turnovers as the block punt's a turnover in my opinion, like the going for it on fourth down, obviously a turnover, and then whether it was the fumbles, the interceptions, I mean just game changing plays that I did hear at one point there were out of four plays in a row they scored 3.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense because that game flips so quickly from, comfortable to like, this might not happen.
I think a combination of the turnovers and then in a crazy way, I think our strength exposes our weakness on defense. Okay. I think we're so we're best in class as far as stopping the run.
Yep.
And when teams finally give up on trying to run and they commit to the pass, you get a kid. What's this kid's name at K-State, quarterback?
Will Howard?
Yeah, Will Howard. Oh, I didn't know if you're talking about Avery or Will.
I seen a thing where they show Will Howard's yards per game, passing yards per game for the previous 5 leading up to us. It's literally less than 200 yards a game. And then he goes and have a career day against us. And what we're all saying is a little bit less than 3/4 of ball, right?
Yeah,
and we're so great at stopping a run that a guy that throws $150 maybe a game is out here having a career day.
Well, how many
because they're forced to throw the football. I think he went 34.
If you throw 34 passes, I mean,
but that's my point.
Well, and our defense is our secondary.
Right.
Well, and I think that's what happens too. Look, they're a running team first. They are a run first team, and their quarterbacks run. Howard's run for 100 yards. Avery Johnson's run for 100 yards in some of those games, and those guys couldn't get anything on us. Their running backs couldn't get anything. So it flips to, all right, let's put the ball in the air, and we have a good secondary when we're healthy, and we just haven't been healthy in so long that I think that's part of the issue. I mean, we're still that game. We still didn't have Catalan. We still didn't. I think Keaton Crawford was still out. I mean, there were a lot of guys missing on that squad.
I mean, I think also too, football is a game of runs too, and momentum is a real thing. I think the block punt got it started, and it kind of just rose from there. I knew they was gonna score after that because turnover on special teams is always detrimental. It's a mental thing. Kind of start scrambling. I knew it was gonna be a shot. It was a shot touchdown. Then it kind of just you gotta calm down, get back in tune, and I think that's where we need to really grow as far as handling adversity.
But what was the score going into the half though?
17-7. 17-7. And we because we didn't kick the field. I was big on take the points because that's what Gundy did. Yeah. And when Gundy beat them is he took the points every single time. And I know Sark loves to gamble down there and loves to go for it, but it's in games like that, you know that K-State game's going to come down to the wire. And
the one thing, as much as I love to question it, it's hard for me too, just because he's so consistent with it.
And if I agree,
I would have a problem. I would have a big issue if in this scenario we don't know what he's gonna do.
Right.
But he's proven to us 9 times out of 10 in this scenario we going for it.
Well, and we're happy when on 4th and 1 CJ Baxter breaks off a 50-yard run, right? We're like, he's a genius.
Point exactly. So I'm like, no, he played his style. I mean, he coached his style of ball. I'm not all the way upset with that.
Yeah.
I would love to see us get to that point. And you made a really good point where it's like that type of game last year, we probably don't win it. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing that this team is progressing and going the same way. I would love for us to get to that point though, where we're playing clean ball all the way through. Because we just played a super tough team. I think you look at them, you look at Oklahoma State, and you say that those two teams are probably playing some of the best ball in the Big 12 right now. And I'm like, we overpowered them, not just with talent at the beginning of that game. We out-hit them. Yep. We out-hustled them. I think we called better play calls. Mm-hmm. We wanted the ball more when it was in the air. You look at that touchdown that AD Mitchell had. Oh my gosh, this dude hanging all on him.
I'm in love with that dude.
And
he's so flex, bro.
Yeah, dude's nice. And I'm like, this is Texas football, right? We got a chance. I think that's the easiest way to say it. This is Texas football. Well, and then it's like this is also Texas football.
I think it's that next step though of getting to that point. Obviously, we can beat anybody. We can play with anybody. But when it gets to that point of go ahead and take that heart, we gotta. That's what we gotta.
That's a mentality. That's a mentality.
This besides the Baylor game, this is the first time I can remember this year where we came out and we punched the team in the mouth.
Right.
I think
early on.
Yeah, and I think K-State was taken aback a little bit. I think they thought this was we were going to try to we were going to let them hang around a while. Yeah. They were going to move the ball on us, we just kept proving over and over again that they couldn't. And
it wasn't a finesse game.
I think they were starting to doubt that they could win that game, and then the momentum shifted, the turnover started, and
I think speaking of turnover, I think for us to play a cleaner game, I think we got to start taking a little bit off of Maalik's plate.
I agree with that.
Sark put a lot on his plate last week for the first start, and he looked decent. Like I said, I came on the podcast, I said the turnovers he had we can live with them. Like they're teachable turnovers. This week, he made the same mistake twice.
You mean that pick on the screen? Hey, man. Hey, man, it's a one-man route.
It is, but
if he's not there, this ball got to go in the dirt, man.
It is, but I guess for me, it was discouraging to see Maalik kind of making some of the same mistakes that he made last week. And y'all know in football, you can't make the same mistake twice.
Right. Yeah.
That's the quickest way to get pulled. And he kind of showed some of the same mistakes this second game. So I think for us to have a cleaner week coming in, we got to start taking a little bit off his play.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you because I think that, but it's the same thing you said. Sark is who he is. Like he doesn't call this game differently with Maalik in there. Like he isn't making some of those throws, and like I mean that throw he made to Sanders like towards I think it was in the third quarter for that first down. It was awesome.
Beautiful.
And I mean
it's beautiful
for a kid that has barely played it all to come in, make that throw, and to trust that kid with that throw. It shows he didn't. I don't think he flipped the script that much with Maalik in there. He's like, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
It's a next man up mentality. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a next man up mentality. And I get it. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't have those mistakes. And I definitely agree with you. But, like, this is trial by fire. Because who's to say, I'm hoping that Quinn comes back and he's 100% healthy. Mm-hmm. But with the injury that he has, who's to say that we have him available down the stretch? And if you think that we're going to have the opportunity to potentially go into a playoff and play conservative football and win, I don't know.
So here's I didn't want to cut you, but real quick, just respond real quick. I'd rather us play conservatively and get to the playoffs and get steamrolled than be aggressive now and not make it to the playoffs and drop one. I guess that's kind of where my mind is.
I'm looking at that same thing. I'm looking at that same thing where I'm like, these are the teaching moments. These are the stair steps to getting to that point where we truly do have a Maalik Murphy that we're confident in going into this game if a Quinn's not available.
Yeah, I think.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we go into this playoff game, and now because you've had that trial by fire, you've been now, what would that make him, a 4 or 5 game starter? He's getting comfortable. Now you're not making those mistakes. Yeah. Like, I gotta allow you the grace to make the mistake and learn from it.
Yeah, and I think also just playing the team like that, no disrespect, but I feel like we got to take the role of, we can beat this team, if he doesn't play exactly like we want him to. So, let him go out there and make mistakes. It's only his second game starting, so I don't look at it as he making the same mistakes. I think he's still it's a small sample size. Yeah. So, I don't want to judge him too early, but I definitely think, let his wings spread a little bit, let him get comfortable in the early, so if we do get to a point to where, okay, he got to come out here and be a guy, like you said, his confidence. Yeah. He knows the coaches trust him, teammates trust him, and he can go out there and do it, I think.
Well, and just real quick, I was just going to say, and Maalik deserves that too. Yeah. Like, he deserves the opportunity to grow. Right. So I believe in that. I guess that would be what y'all are saying is a perfect world. Like, we allow him to make mistakes, we allow him to grow, and we still make it to the playoffs. Yeah. That's the best case scenario. I don't know if that happens.
But like, it seems though, if I'm just like saying like actions are speaking louder than words, it seems like that's the route they're taking.
Yeah, it does.
Like, you know what I mean? It feels like that. Now, I'll add this to it though. Yeah. Knowing that that's the case, I'm looking at the other 10 starters on offense saying, we got to step it up. Yeah. I'm looking at potentially RB1 in the draft saying you can't put it on the ground.
Yeah. Right.
That's eliminated from your game. Yeah, you don't have that flexibility. We've allowed this guy to have all of our mistakes.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody else gets those. That's how I'm looking at the rest of it.
And to give Maalik a little credit, I will say, like, we've all been Texas fans, and you guys have been players, et cetera. We haven't had this problem of having a quarterback this good, this early, like who can play like this, right? Like, we've got to give this kid credit.
That is true.
The throws that kid was making, some like the pass to 80, some of the third down throws, some of these passes, like the kid can play. And I think we're seeing a lot of that talent, but he's still young. And in both games he's made 2 really young throws or 3, mistakes. And I did see a stat that he's I believe it's the only quarterback that's thrown over 50 passes in college football who has not who's not thrown the ball away once. Yeah. He hasn't thrown the ball away once.
I think
I don't think it's a good thing.
That's a part of the problem, because hey man, if I call a screen pass
And it ain't there.
and he grabs that running back, I don't want you looking for where else to go with this football. But they won that play.
That was the one. That was the throwaway. That should have been the throwaway.
That stat should have not existed because he threw it away.
Exactly.
Right there.
I agree. I agree.
You can't do that.
Well, let's move.
Just last thing on that. I'll
go
say,
for it.
With Maalik, you're right. Like if this was 3 years ago and we had Maalik as a second-year player playing the way he's playing, we're ecstatic about the situation.
He's the starter.
Obviously, overnight expectations has risen.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we're talking about it like
that's
this.
fair.
So,
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to first down. And so for the first down question, why is this, and I know we can say this for the last game, but overall this year, why is this team struggling to close out games?
It's a really good question. I mean, you know, the age-old saying, those guys get paid too, right? So it's not like you playing. You're not like Kansas State ain't no slouch, man. I want to make sure that if we're talking about Kansas State.
No, we're talking about the season.
Okay,
So why is this, like overall?
I think that's a mentality. I think that's a learned thing. Like there's this growth and maturity of the core of the team that like you learn what's expected and what the standard is, and then how to play.
Yes.
And then you got to learn how to win the
Right.
close ones.
Right.
Yep.
And then you learn how to play to your standard. This is what we haven't done yet. You learn how to play to your standard no matter who shows up.
Right.
And I think the reason that we've struggled to close teams out, we're still in that growth phase of like how to win and then how to play to our standard. I'm hoping that that needle's moving that direction. Because when you get to a team that plays to their standard, that's when those games get a little bit boring.
Yeah.
That's when you look up in the third quarter and the only people that are cheering are the people that are family of some of the players on the field.
I want to be bored. So
I want to be
badly this
bored.
year. I want to be
bad.
so bored. I want to be like getting up, doing some stuff around the house while in the third quarter.
But I'm saying like that doesn't just magically happen.
Right.
That becomes a part of not only what's expected, but like what's practiced, what's talked about, and then what's actually on the field, no matter who's on the field.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when you start to see that's where the depth is built. That's where you start to see not a crazy drop off between one and two at these different positions.
Because they get the experience.
Yeah, they have the experience. They know how to play.
Yeah.
The twos and the threes are on the field, and you got cats making plays that's really making you say, man, he might be able to start.
Might be all right.
That's you want that.
That's that
need
championship.
That.
That's
a
the championship teams that
I just say like you got to take on that identity though. Like in the beginning you said what other teams get paid to. It don't matter who come in here. Like you said, if you say they got to play to a standard, this who we are. We got to take on that identity, and this is how we play. Like you said, a standard. So I think just really figuring out what that is for us, creating that identity, and then owning it is really kind of what we missing. I feel like we get into games where we just did. We come out hot, and then we got the opportunity to finish it out. Like go ahead, take their hearts, and we let them get back in the game. I think that's the difference right there between. It's not even really closing it out. It's coming out, dominating, killing the ant with a sledgehammer, getting off the field. Like don't ever give them hope thinking that they can play with us.
The greatest thing about that is too is like we got another opportunity on Saturday.
Yeah. And I was gonna say I'm kind of with both of y'all. Y'all both hit it right on the head. For me, it's like experience. So they need to be in it. They need to see like the players behind them need to see the starters do it. So like the D tackles seeing T Sweat close out a game. Now those younger guys, when it's their turn, they're gonna be like, okay, I know how to close out a game. I've seen it before. When I was a freshman and I saw Sergio Kendall close out the game against Tech and knock his helmet off, I said, okay, I want that to be me. I want to close the game out. So I think just as they're doing it right now, it's going to come. We trying to speed up the process, but it's going to come.
Yeah. Right. That's fair. Well, let's move on to second down. And we already touched on this quite a bit, but second down is kind of the thoughts on Maalik. I think we covered a lot of, the turnover part and getting rushed and making those decisions. But I also think, and we alluded to this too, that he's doing some great stuff. And, what do you guys like about what Malik's doing?
One thing, he's not afraid to make any throw.
Yeah.
There's no fear. Yeah. I do not feel like he plays this game with fear.
I agree.
I think like that is big.
It reminds me of an NFL team in a sense of like where you don't expect it to be as good as the starter, but there was a confidence in me, and I'd never even seen this kid play. Right. And I was like, just the things I'd heard and the people I talked to were like, he's the guy. He's the guy.
That's an intrinsic, core value though. Like there's somebody that has like a self-belief. They believe I belong here. I'm not just, my opportunity came because QB1 went down, but I'm QB1. Yeah. And you feel that in just how that big boy throw that you're talking about that he made to Sanders.
Yeah.
Man, I'm at home, like you should see me. I'm like rewinding it and watching it. He looked off the zone backer.
Yeah.
He made him shift and then came and launched. He knew exactly where his guy was. That's a confident throw.
Yeah.
That is a very confident throw, right? So I think what I'm seeing from somebody is man, he's getting better. Game 2 looked better than game 1.
Yeah.
Hopefully game 3 looks better than game 1 and 2. I'm serious. Like if I'm even just looking at the deep ball touchdowns, right? You threw a duck on game 1 to AD Mitchell, and luckily he goes up and grabs and it goes for 6. You threw a beautiful ball game too, AD Mitchell and went for the game. His game is getting better. Yeah. Now there's this part of his game that's really ugly, and it's like just the carelessness with the football. Yeah. That has to obviously change, right? Because our margin for error as we continue to play better teams is going to get smaller. But what I see from somebody that's young with not a lot of experience is a lot of talent, a big body, a confident QB, and somebody that's young with not a lot of experience. Like that's kind of what I think I see on the field.
Well, to his credit, situationally, like those were very different games. I think we all expected Texas to beat BYU. I think a lot of people were like, we should win this K-State game, but it's going to be tight. And I think that environment in that game, to give him credit for the pressure on that game. I think so I do think I get what you're saying. It was a better game in that sense because when he needed to, he stepped up, did what he had to do. Whereas the first game, it wasn't as in doubt at all moments.
That last drive before overtime told me what I need to know about him. That listen, if you talk about the momentum change.
Yeah.
He at one point he was 27-7 or 20
something crazy.
They were up. Before K-State reeled off 3 straight, boom, boom, boom. Now mind you, they've reeled off 3 straight, and now you back on the field,
right?
With the game tied.
Yeah.
And your margin is now gone because if you punt this ball without points on the board, they have an opportunity to go win it.
Probably lose this game.
With how they were playing.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. He ate up the clock. He made the big boy throws. He made the right decisions with the football and led his team all the way down there, put points on the board, and gave him an opportunity to win. That's telling me what. And this is game 2, fellas.
Yeah.
This is game 2. Now, you can't throw a pick on the screen.
No.
You cannot.
Stop bringing it up.
Hey, man. You already talking about
Stop bringing it up.
Listen, I've seen a lot of things, man.
I
this is one man route.
No, he's terrible.
Because that's how you lose games, though. That's how you lose games.
Looking at this
Hills fell down on the screen once, you can
tell. You can't throw this ball. All right. But what I'm seeing, I loved what I seen from that drive. I felt very confident as somebody that bleeds that burn orange. I felt very confident, get this man some more reps.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, I played with him last year, and he was our scout team quarterback last year. So I know what kind of guy he is, and I know the confidence that he has in himself. And I think he was just so ready for his opportunity. I think that's why everybody's so comfortable with the transition. Usually you get a backup quarterback, it's like, oh, hell, here we go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But with him, it was like everybody was happy to see it. And I think, I know the team was rallying around him. And I think that gives him more confidence in himself more than he already has. And I think in the spring game, he really came out and showed, I'm here, you know. And just because of the circumstances that we in, obviously I'm not going to be one. But when I get my opportunity, I'm going to show the world. And I think that's what he's doing.
That's really exactly so happy for it. That's exactly
you hit it right on the head. You basically took what I was about to say. Whenever he came in, I thought he was ready for the moment. And that's saying a lot for a young player.
Quarterback at Texas.
I was just about to say
quarterback at Texas.
Quarterback at Texas. A lot of prep for you to come on that stage and perform the way you did. That took a lot of preparation that's unseen. And I commend him for that. A lot of times we get on these podcasts, we get on these networks, and we got to be critical of these guys. So I want to take the time to let them know that, I appreciate the preparation and the work that you did behind the scenes, and I saw that you were ready for the moment.
And we know, we've had the opportunity to see what actually goes into that prep.
Yeah.
To play at that level. You and I were fortunate enough to play with Colt. I remember Colt's habits.
Yep.
I know what it takes to break the all-time accuracy record at the collegiate level. I've seen that kind of preparation. So to see somebody come out and have success when I say success, I mean, listen, you're 2-0.
Yeah,
That's
2-0.
You know what I mean?
That's as successful as you can get.
And you're not 2-0 because you turn around and hand the ball off 45 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're 2-0.
He's driving the ship.
You're 2-0. Like that's not easy, and it definitely ain't easy here.
Yeah, I think just dealing with the politics of it all. You got Arch, you got Quinn. These are big name guys. Quinn was the number one player ever coming out of high school, and Arch is the son of one of the greatest quarterback. I mean, nephew of the greatest quarterback.
Man, his last name Manning.
Yeah, exactly.
His last name Manning.
That's a lot of pressure. So
Yeah.
for him to come out and play, and like I said, take ownership of it. Like he's not shying away from it. I think that's just a testament to who he is, and it's gonna be interesting coming in the next year to see what kind of happens, with the situation.
The cool part about this too, and I'll just say this is the expectation is going to continue to grow as he continues to play.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what it looks like when he puts it all together.
It's gonna be scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's gonna be
When
scary.
you give me that fourth quarter, take the lead drive for 4 quarters. What is like when you really put it all together?
Yeah.
What does your game look like?
He'll
Like,
be starting somewhere next year.
One thing he hasn't even began to do, or at least I haven't seen in these 2 starts yet, is like, what's it look like? What's it look like?
I'm right there.
What's
with
it
you.
look like when nothing's there and you got to create?
Yeah.
Well, Tuck, you played against him.
You know what I mean?
How is Maalik as a runner?
I mean,
That's
he's not
the
the
$1 million
fastest
question.
guy, but I mean, he is 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
He could get something done, as long as he choose to do it in his mind. I mean, I don't think he's gonna have a problem. He's not gonna be Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But if he need to go scatter for a first down, he'll go get
Well, I think next game we're going to see him run once. I think we're going to see him throw it away once. I'm just going to put it out there in the world.
He's definitely not his
I'm
first
a will it.
option. He's definitely
And
not
I
his first
seen
option.
one. Obviously, when you freeze frame any game, you can create a narrative.
Yeah.
I did see one though, man. It was like 3rd and 3. K-State dropped everybody, and our offensive line did a great job of hemming up the 3 that they brought.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Go ahead, take up.
like, he could have got like a smooth 10 before anybody got next to him.
So over under 2 scrambles. What y'all taking?
Against TCU?
Against TCU. I'm taking the under.
I'm taking the under.
I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yep.
Because what has proven to not be a really great Colorado team, Shedeur Sanders, who also does not want to run, had multiple opportunities
fair.
and took advantage of
That's a
some
good
of those.
point.
It is there.
Yeah.
It is there. Like, listen, I'm for all of everything that's happening over there.
No question.
That's not a great football team.
Not even.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the way that they made scoring the football look pretty easy week 1.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's flip to let's move on from Maalik for a sec. He's gotten his moment. So for 3rd down, who was the MVP for each of you of the Kansas State game? Oh, all right. Go ahead.
I don't want him to take my answer. It's easy.
Well, I think there's 2 correct answers.
Okay.
I think we're all on board with T Sweat, right?
Yes.
I think he needs to be recognized.
100%.
T Sweat,
Yes.
he made plays down the stretch
Yes.
that won us the game.
Yeah.
We can't forget about AD.
I was gonna say
I wasn't gonna say
Like,
AD. I wasn't gonna say AD. I would give him honorable mention. I'm gonna say the guy right next to T Sweat.
Murph? His rush that last play won them the game.
Listen to me.
He did blow it up.
I'm watching. I watched the game twice already. There's nothing there. K-State didn't abandon the run because they wanted to.
Yeah.
We know they did not want to. When they were down at Oklahoma State, how'd they get back into the game? They ran the football in the second half to get back into that game. That's what they preferred to do.
Yeah.
It was not there. Those 2 ate up everything from B gap to B gap. There was nothing there.
It gets serious. It gets
There
serious.
was nothing. And I'm saying for you to have 2 men decide for the next 3 hours, that's not available. Figure something else out.
Yep.
But for the next 3 hours, that's not available to you.
Well, I'm gonna say one that I don't necessarily know that I think he's the MVP, but it's the name that everyone has forgotten in this game who came through in the clutch big time was Bert Auburn. Bert Auburn was Bert Auburn was 4 for 4.
Kicker. Okay.
Yeah.
4 for 4. I know nobody likes to give the kicker the credit. Look, I didn't say he was the MVP, but for a guy who's had a lot of pressure on him, who's gotten knocked for missing some kicks this year, that was a big game, and he did not miss when he needed to.
He was clutch.
Nailed it.
I can appreciate that.
Clutch. He was super clutch. Because listen,
But let the record show, I'm not saying he was the MVP.
One time for the
Andre.
kicker, one time.
and the thing is, though, the reason why his performance was so important because every field goal became so much more clutch than the one before.
Yeah.
Like you think about, the ones early, it's like, cool, you put us up a little bit more. You think about the one late and it's like, all right, we're winning. Let's keep him out the end zone. At best, we go at worst, we go to overtime.
Yeah.
You think about overtime, and you like, he missed this. We probably lose this.
I wasn't breathing on that one.
Every field goal became more of a clutch moment than the one.
Dude, that stadium was silent on that kick. Like it was the quietest I've heard that play. Everybody's just like,
respect to that guy.
Yeah.
Respect to that guy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right, so for fourth down, let's move on. So, in y'all's opinion, do you think Quinn plays against TCU? Is the first question.
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Frankly speaking, I don't think he has to. I don't.
That's what I want to hear, man. Finally, we start talking like we are who we are.
I think that we are head and shoulders better than TCU.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think that we should be able to handle them. I'm not going to say easily because they're going to show up and give you everything they got, right? But you should be able to handle this team. This game shouldn't be that close, right? And if I get an opportunity to rest, the leader of my team, I'm gonna do that, knowing that what my overarching goal is and how close I am to it. We're talking about a TCU win. You talking about what's Iowa State?
Yep.
You're talking about a TCU or Iowa State,
And Tech.
and then potentially go see Okie State in that Big 12 championship. And I get a chance to like rest this guy and prepare for it. I'm gonna. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I would agree.
Unless he's like on that Aaron Rodgers plan and he just like ready to come back. Like, Aaron Rodgers look like he could play tomorrow.
Like a couple weeks.
Yeah, so I'm saying, unless it's like some type, again, I'm not in that locker room. I'm not with that medical staff. I don't know the severity of the injury, but if there's something there that I cannot play him and go win this game, I'm going to do that. And if he's like fully ready to go, then they'll probably roll him out there.
Yeah, I think that's the correct answer. I think we're, like you said, head and shoulders above TCU. I believe in Murph getting the job done against TCU. However, I think he has to come back Iowa State. That's fair. I don't know if we get away with one in Ames, Iowa without Quinn.
Yeah, Iowa State, it's so crazy, man. Iowa State and Oklahoma State did not start this year off playing the way that they both playing right now.
They look dangerous,
They both playing some pretty decent football.
All right, well, here's my question. All right, so let's do a hypothetical. So first half, struggle, down at halftime. Quinn's 75%, which is what the rumor out there is he's 75%. So what happens? What happens if Maalik struggles in the first half and we're down at halftime and Quinn's at 75%? What do you do?
I don't. This isn't a Jahdae Barron situation. Like quarterback.
That's what I was asking.
It's a whole different can of worms. Like
listen,
if he don't have a helmet, he's not coming in that game. I think the question is, would Arch come in? If he has two picks, at halftime,
no.
I think that's the only situation.
I
don't see Quinn coming in if he's not dressed out.
I'm looking at TCU, man, and I think
he's gonna be dressed out.
I think you'll get more of a U of H situation than you will that scenario, right?
Yeah.
I think what you're gonna get is turn around, fire off the ball, hand the ball off.
Yeah.
Like that's when you go look at U of H.
Saying if we go down,
like I think a poor performance is gonna lend towards a strategy shift versus a quarterback change. Because like Oak said, listen, that's a different thing. It's no such thing as you played bad, I'm pulling you for this series. QBs, man, you pull Murphy because he didn't play well first half. You put in Quinn, and Lord forbid it don't look right. And you got to put Murphy back in. You are creating a very ugly scenario.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like if things kind of get shaky, turn around and hand the football off.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one of them scenarios where I'm saying I'm putting it on everybody else. I'm looking at the other 10 guys. I'm looking at my offensive line. I'm looking at Zero. I'm telling him you got to make your mind up. You got to block. I'm calling it.
That's not what he does.
Listen.
That's not what he does.
Zero, you want to win the game? You got blocked today, big dog. Yeah. Okay? We got to. This is the truth.
Yeah.
Like, this is the truth. It's going to be on everybody else. 24 is downhill.
Yeah.
It's not pretty today.
Yeah.
That's probably where I would imagine those conversations going.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pose this for the two defensive guys in here.
Yeah.
So a lot of people speculate that Quinn kind of made that post. I don't know if y'all saw it on Instagram.
I haven't seen it yet.
He basically made an Instagram post yesterday that alluded to the fact that like he was going to play basically.
okay.
So, but a lot of people are speculating.
It's just a regular picture.
What was it?
It's just in a uniform.
Oh, okay.
No. But it said something like "Let me loose" or something like that. Yeah, it was, and it was like "Big City" or something like that. So, like a lot of people speculated, and a lot of people think that was them kind of messing with TCU. So, I want to ask you guys, what does that put extra stress on the defense for that week of prep to say, "Hey, we're probably going to play Maalik, but if Quinn's there, we got to be ready for X, Y, Z," or is it just like we're just going to go do our thing? Like, what does that look like?
I don't think Maalik and Quinn's game is too much different. And like you said, it's kind of scripted the way we come out. So, I mean, as far as preparation goes for two different guys, I don't think their game is too much different enough to where there's going to have to be too much different game planning.
Yeah.
But if there was a different dynamic with the two quarterbacks, then yes, it does put stress on you, especially if you got a runner or you got a guy who does more sprint outs and, stuff like that. So, yeah, it'll change a little bit, but I don't think their game is too much different to where it's going to be.
Because y'all had that was it with K-State last year when you played them? Because they had Howard and they had Martinez, right? Was that last year?
Yeah. That's what it was.
Did y'all prep differently for that? How does Kwiatkowski handle that?
I mean, I think just like everybody else, you got to do more like spy stuff when you got a runner. Mm-hmm. And then just on the back end, making sure that everybody's sound. If we got a good quarterback who's going to throw the ball, stand in the pocket longer. Probably blitz more too. Mm-hmm. Blitz less when it's a runner because you don't want to create lanes and let them get out of there. Because QB runs is one of the hardest things to guard, just because it's an extra man you're not accounted for. Because it's 11 man. Mm-hmm. You don't really account for the quarterback and your run fits and all that stuff. So
that took us out against OU,
right? So if you run the quarterback, that can cause concern. So if it was like that dynamic, then it'd probably be a different game plan. But I don't think their games are different.
I'm just trying to understand the question. Are you talking about our D-line at Texas or TCU's defense?
Yeah, it started mainly as TCU's defense, talking about kind of like almost like throwing a decoy out to TCU to be like, you got to prep for both kind of thing.
I'll say as a defender, I mean, it just sucks. It's extra work, extra preparation, and that's all, the offense wants to do is wants to make you be in the film room longer. So you're not on the field type of thing. So you're thinking more. Yeah. So that's the biggest difference. Just you got to put more preparation. You got to prepare for both, and that just takes more time.
Yeah,
so,
that makes
probably
sense.
Some gamemanship there.
I think so too. But we'll see. We'll see. I kind of default to what you guys say. Is like if you don't have to play them, don't do it. But also like it's like every game's the championship for this team. Like you can't drop one. And we're starting to hit this kind of brings me into my Hail Mary question about the style points, because all these other teams aren't playing as tough of teams, but they're getting more points for style. So our Hail Mary is, why does Texas continue to get disrespected in the polls, i.e. Oregon leapfrogging them, people saying Alabama should be ranked over Texas, and these type of things, teams with similar records, but not as good of resumes?
I think Oregon, I know they dropped one against UW, but I watched that entire game, and I honestly believed Oregon was the best team on the field that day, if I'm being honest. I think Oregon's one of the best teams in college football.
They look good.
You talk about style points. Like, I think even, first of all, they just mollywop Cal, and Cal's not that great, but Utah has been perceived as being one of the toughest defenses in college football. And I don't think they lost a home game in the last 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I think Oregon went up there and almost dropped a 50-burger on them.
Yeah.
So, like.
But I will say early in the year, they did play Texas Tech and won by a score. So, I mean, I know that's early.
Oregon did.
So, I mean,
but nobody remembers that either.
I definitely remember that because it was the week after Tech and Wyoming played.
Yep.
And when I watched Tech, that's when I honestly thought Wyoming was going to be, because I watched Tech play Wyoming. Now, this is how you know this is not how football works, but Tech plays Wyoming. Tough game. Wyoming pulls it out, I want to say, at the end. Tech plays Oregon the next week. I think Oregon's going to mop Tech. Game was super close. Yeah. Wyoming comes and plays Texas. Game is close for 3 quarters. Texas puts up like 20 plus in the fourth and shows you what could have happened. Yeah. But so you look at all of that. But when I'm looking at a team that's getting better and every single week, Bo Nix is playing some of the best football in college right now. I think he's probably potentially a dark horse for the Heisman. We'll see what happens with the kid in Florida State, Jordan Travis, because he's playing some damn good ball right now too. But I believe that the way that Oregon is winning, they're playing up to their standard right now. They're showing up with an attitude, and they're winning by 3-4 scores a game. Like, you know what I mean? Like
they're doing what they're supposed
so
to
if
do.
if that's what you mean by style points, they got them.
Yeah, and I would say to that, I think like a stigma with Texas is, they're not really that. You know, everybody's waiting for us to lose like we done in the past. So I think that kind of has something to do with it. They don't really believe yet. And I don't really think we've had that game to make, put the world on notice that, okay, we are who we say we are. Plus, we did have a bad loss against Oklahoma. We shouldn't lose that game. I agree. And then they start losing too. So that kind of plays a factor. That doesn't help us. Doesn't look good. And then Bama's turning it on. They playing really well. But I challenge that. I don't challenge Bama playing well because you're right. Yeah. But the one thing that bothers me is this whole notion that Bama's got their run game together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, it's not like they didn't try.
Right. I totally agree.
Again, there's nobody that's running against our defense. That's just not happening. That's not available. You go look at how Bama beat LSU. Quarterback put up, I want to say, like 140 on the ground.
It's going to be that every day.
And that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. But so you look at the teams that they have ahead of us. Georgia's going to be there until they not, deservingly so. They ain't lost a football game in 2 years.
Yep.
All right. You look at Florida State. The ACC's having a down year. They'll probably make their way on through unless Miami can pop them at the end of the year. All right. You look at who else they have right there?
Michigan and Ohio State.
Michigan, Ohio State. They're on a crash course. And there's a good chance that Michigan going to college jail.
I like the juxtaposition from the first podcast of everybody. This is my squad.
Hey, man. They didn't catch y'all doing some stuff you wasn't supposed to be doing.
This is the confession.
There's a good chance y'all going to college jail. So we'll figure out what happens there because it seems like the world has turned their back on Michigan and they are going to probably not allow Michigan to compete at that level.
I think they'll make an example out of it.
We'll see what happens. But either way, they're on a crash course. Right? Somebody got to lose. Right. And then you look at Oregon and UW. They got to play each other again. That Pac-12 championship is coming again. So
they might have to play twice, right? Because they play regular season.
They played regular season and UW won.
Right.
And now,
they already did play. You're right. I'm sorry.
And now they're on this crash course to play again for the Pac-12 championship. I'm looking at us, and earlier, I imagined us on this crash course to OU again, which I believe would really have helped.
Yes,
but that's not going to be the case. Yeah. We could potentially end up on the outside looking in unless we start grabbing those style points that you're talking about. Because just the way that this thing's set up, you're going to have, unless Georgia loses, then you don't see that happening. But Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State.
Well, Georgia got a big game this weekend.
Who they got this weekend?
They got Ole Miss.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. That could depending on what's my coach name over there? Depending on
Lane Kiffin.
Man, depending on what Lane Kiffin you get. Oh my gosh, it just depends on what Lane Kiffin you get. Sometimes Lane Kiffin just.
Ole Miss can score though.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. You know who they couldn't score against?
Who?
Bama.
Yeah.
Go back and look at that game. Yeah. Go back and look at that game. Yeah. Bama gave you the recipe.
They did.
Bama gave you the recipe.
But Missouri put some points up on Georgia, and they showed a little bit.
And Georgia has shown some kinks in the armor. Their best player is a tight end. He's out for a little bit with his injury. You looked at Georgia earlier this year when they were playing South Carolina, and South Carolina had them by the neck and couldn't finish that game out. So like Georgia is not unbeatable.
I don't think they're not dominant like they've been.
I totally agree.
Past.
They're good, but
But again, like you're the champ until you're not, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
2 years of winning,
and it should be that way. It should be that way.
Well, winning.
Let's move on to this weekend. So for TCU, what I need first off, what does Texas need to do to win that game? And then we'll go to predictions. And I want each of your predictions.
TCU starting the kid that started against BYU, right? The backup.
Yeah. Okay. The kid from Rockwall.
Yeah. Kid looked phenomenal against BYU. Same time, Sam Houston looked great against BYU. So that's just, I'm not, listen, pull it up if you think I'm wrong.
BYU was bad. You called it. It was bad.
Yeah. I think Texas needs to be Texas. You put pressure on this kid, I'll definitely be interested to see what happens. Right. And then I would love to see us just execute the game plan. I'd love to see us if we could like teeter more towards our run game and then allow for the throws to open up, just open up the lanes and make them a little bit more clear. But I truly believe that this could set itself up for like a slow bleed where you just look up and it's 7-0, 14-3, 21-10. 28-10. And then you look up and the game's over and you up by 4 scores, 5 scores. You know what I mean?
I just think they need to play a complete game and stick and like kind of create that identity. Like let's have that game that comes out and says, okay, Texas is serious. So, stop the run. We're gonna do that regardless.
Yep.
Establish the run on both sides of the ball. So win up front, basically, which we can do. We should do and dominate the game that way. And then, create some turnovers on defense. I feel like we don't get enough turnovers. We play great defense for most of the game, but we don't create turnovers. And turnovers are going to help the offense out to score points, put them in better positions so they don't have to go the whole field. So I think that's going to be huge, just winning the turnover battle. But yeah, just playing a complete game, not letting them stick around.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, y'all said it, so I'm going to keep it simple. I don't think there's a world where if we don't turn the ball over, we lose this game. Yeah. So, I mean, if we walk off the field with 0 turnovers, we won. It should be a dub in the column. Yeah. So,
all right, predictions. Yeah. Score predictions.
I mean, I don't see us scoring less than 30. I'll tell you that. I could honestly see a 31-10 game, 31-14. And that's if we play clean ball. Because as easily as I can see that, I can see 31-21, 31-24. and those are the points that we gift wrapped them. So
I was gonna say I think like 42-10, but I think I'm only saying that just because I feel like the defense is it should be our strength. I feel like
it is.
I feel it should be our strength. So if the defense comes out and they play like they're supposed to play and don't give up no points, then the offense they're gonna score the ball. So if the defense come out and dominate, I think we can have a easy win, 42-10, something like that. Like you said, I don't think it's gonna be under 30.
Yeah, that was kind of my score. I got like a 42-13 type score. Right. I think it's going to be tight early. It got to be interesting with Texas. You said we mimicked the Cowboys. It's Texas, so it got to be interesting at some point.
Yeah. Taking years off my life.
I think it's going to be close first quarter, maybe early second, and then we open it up. Yeah. So I say 42-13.
All right. Yeah,
I would love to see us come out, pick up where we left off first quarter last week, but then give us that continuation of that.
That's going to be a 72-0.
Like what's that?
Let's see the backups.
I want to.
Hey man, we need to see the backups. I want to see the back. I'm going 34-13. I think, and I do think our defense is definitely our strength. But I think as long as we don't put that defense in a bad situation, when so many of the points this year have been short fields.
That's what I'm saying.
And our defense has been solid, man. And so
show me 4 quarters of somebody just driving the football. Look, I mean, I'm not the one blemish we have on our record right now. I think the second play of that game was a pick in our own red zone.
OU game.
The second or third play of that game. Was a pick in the red zone. I remember that. Like, show me 4 quarters of somebody just moving the ball down the field on us. That's not happening.
It hasn't happened.
Play clean ball, win this game.
I agree. Yeah, just play clean. So I think a little bit of I'll say a hot topic, I think it's fair to say in college football right now is this whole sign stealing happening at Michigan as well as the Big Ten. And I know this hits Jeremy Hill's extremely close to home after his first week prediction on the podcast of his squad and how
Why
great they were doing.
Why do you keep calling them monsters?
We can roll back. We can roll back to the tape.
I never said
Colton roll
don't
that tape
affiliate
back.
me with those criminals, man. You know who I'm looking at right now? I'm looking at Michigan.
Yeah.
If you want to be real, I'm looking at Michigan. Michigan point differential on the season is 107-0.
Exactly. But
what is that? Probably sound like a Michigan fangirl at this point.
You do.
Yeah.
Don't affiliate me with those criminals.
You know what it is? He played offense. I didn't even put it together. Now I see why you keep saying that.
So let's talk about, I think it's an interesting topic. Like, what are y'all's takes on that? Have you had experience with that? I mean, is that something that you've experienced in college or in the pros or things like that? Talk about that. I think for the people at home that don't know about it.
Yeah, I think defensively it's common. Like, I don't know how common it is at the college level, but I know when I was in the league, like we get a packet of signals, we get a packet of snap counts, we get a packet of code words on the line of scrimmage, and it's basically our cheat package right here, and it goes through the grapevine. So like once we're done playing them, we pass it off to the next team. It's just like a community. Yeah. I will say this though, they must have been egregious for them to get caught. Like, when you was kids, there's that 25-cent candy jar. You can get away with stealing the 25-cent candy. Yeah. But when you go get the whole box of Skittles, that's when you get caught.
Never get 100 on a test when you're cheating. Never get 100.
Like, this don't really make sense to me, though, because it's a reason why every school has 2 signal callers. Like, they got somebody with a green shirt on, or like it's a different color than your primary color so the players can see it. And then it's another one, whatever the color may be. Everybody has 2 signal callers because people are looking at your signals. Yeah. I don't understand why they're making this a big thing. I'm really confused on it. And like he said, it's a pass it down thing. Like you call coaches, hey, what did y'all see in this game? What did y'all see in this game? Yeah. This is normal, so I really don't understand it.
Well, and I think that's why Michigan's getting so much heat too, is because apparently they passed it to South Carolina and they passed it to some other teams because they didn't want to play certain teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
I don't know what I don't know what they did or didn't do. I know what they've been accused of.
Harbaugh pissed somebody off,
and I can just tell you it's an unfortunate situation for everybody. I don't condone cheating of any sort, and
but
man, they gonna go to college jail, man. It would suck to see. I don't think Michigan being this good is solely a product of, quote, sign stealing.
No.
I think this team can play some football.
I agree.
That said, I understand competitively how players and or coaches can feel slighted that they went into a knife fight and Michigan had a gun. So if that's how they feel, but
I need to know what the gun was.
Let me ask you this: do y'all have dummy calls?
100%.
So that means you're expecting them to be looking at the signs right or wrong.
I'm not. Listen, I'm saying like this. I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying if in that little rule book it says you can't do X. And you do X.
So go ahead and cancel the whole season.
Then you can't be mad. To your point, though, you're making a real good point. I was reading earlier today, Michigan has just turned in some tape from the 2022 season.
Thank you.
With Ohio State.
Everybody
we call that a look over here.
We call that snitching.
And I will say, on behalf of the Longhorn Nation, hey, why don't you suspend Ohio State and Michigan? But at this point, why don't you get rid of them?
I think we
get them out of there, man.
We do know it. I think this is what interests me is it doesn't work like that. The NCAA doesn't move that quickly on sanctions and things like that. Right. They might suspend Harbaugh. They're not. I don't think they're going to vacate wins this year. But the interesting thing to me is if they play Ohio State, lose to Ohio State, and then we've got a bunch of these 11-1, 12-1 team, whatever it is, and it's going to come down to the committee voting. I think that's when Michigan gets penalized, and which we'll see. So if they win, if they go undefeated, though, you can't penalize them.
Michigan does not have the leeway to lose a football game.
No.
They've been even with this impressive defensive performance that they wrote out every single week, including last week. Last week, Purdue of all teams.
Man, I can't wait to watch them play a good team.
To them, right?
Can't wait.
That's been what every single knowledgeable person of college football has been talking about. It's like they haven't played nobody. So if you tell me that they make it, they got Penn State coming up. But if you tell me that they make, which Ohio State has already proved, Penn State is pretenders.
I think they're going to get more credit than they should for that win.
If they make it to Ohio State and lose that game, I think without a doubt they out.
I agree.
Like we saying that 10 of your 11 games prior to this one we're not impressed with, and then the one time you played a team that we giving some credit to, you lost, you're out of here.
Yeah.
So that honestly, if that is the scenario, and there's a lot of one-loss teams, I think that's where it will benefit us. I think we're either first or second with the most top 25 wins of teams that are in it. I think
I saw the stat. It's a 3-way tie between us, Arizona. But
I'm saying of the teams that are in it at the end, Arizona's not in it right now.
Agreed.
Of the teams that are potentially in it at the end, we have more top 20. Too. We have more top 25, and we beat them too. Yeah. We got more top 25 wins, and we got some more top 25 games coming. Yeah. You got Okie State on the way. You know what I mean? So I think that that could actually benefit us.
Well,
heavily.
That's kind of my hot take. I don't think anybody's going to beat Michigan. I really don't. I think that Ohio State exposed Penn State. And I don't I'll get yelled at for this, but I don't think Ohio State has a quality win. I don't think Notre Dame's that good. I think they get too much credit for that win. And I think they get too much credit for the Penn State win. And I still haven't seen them play anybody. So that's my frustration with that is I think they're pretty overrated, and they got ranked number 1. I think they're getting so much credit for these Big Ten wins, which I haven't seen as much. Like I think Ohio State has the best player in college football, but they don't have a ton else besides. They have a pretty good defense, and they have their offense to me isn't impressive. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think Michigan's good. I'm excited to see Michigan play somebody in the playoffs, and because that's when I think we'll find out who they are.
I think this year is pretty even.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity.
It's a lot, man. It's made it fun.
Yeah,
it's made it real fun because
NIL
the parity is there. Right. It's been I think NIL has. I mean, not just for football. You look at women's basketball too.
Yes.
I think NIL has been one of the greatest things that's hit college sports because it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. Like you've seen teams kind of, I don't want to say transform overnight, but man, they've got
at every level too.
At every level. They got an opportunity to really compete.
Yeah.
But no, they
lock him up.
They're not going to jail. They're not going to jail.
College jail.
I just want to know what happened. Like, if you get caught, like, you had to be doing something crazy. Because it's so common. You know it.
I think it's the sophistication. That's the craziness. And I think it's so sophisticated that they were filming every single game, and he had, like, you can see his chart on the sideline that has everybody. I mean, they're just waving this around. It has all the hand signals on the sideline, and it was like he had a crew of people that were scouting. I mean, I think that was the issue, was that it's so organized, and it was so good. Yeah. I mean, it's just like anything. Like,
so Shuley's saying it was organized crime.
But basically, like, nobody gets mad. Nobody gets mad.
This was white collar organized crime.
Nobody gets mad when it's just little bits of cheating here and there. But the second somebody's like, "Damn, you're so good at this. You are the best at cheating." That's when you get taken down. We've seen this before in other sports like cycling, etc. So like, this is like they come after the ones that are the most successful and the best at doing what they're doing. Exactly. Same thing.
I know y'all got it back though. Y'all got it back.
No, it makes sense. This wasn't what they say a grab and stash or whatever. This was a heist.
The Sox and the Yankees were cheating too. But like,
this was calculated.
That's the thing.
This was really calculated.
It was egregious because like with the Astros, Altuve's got a mic on saying I got the mic.
Trash can noises. And
hey, all right, guys. All right.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
Take us home, Shuley.
Yeah,
take us home.
That's a good place to wrap.
What is going on here? What is going on? Goodness gracious, our manager just retired. Show a little respect.
Hey, my bad. Hey, sorry, Dustin.
All right, well, that's all we got for this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in.